Hi, I'm Doug Gillespie from Hydropool Hot Tubs and Swim Spas. In this video, I want to talk to you about choosing the right installation for your house and for your family. In particular, I want to talk about the different types of installations. I want to talk about how they get delivered into your backyard, and then some of the other costs that you might not be considering with regards to the entire project, i.e. your concrete pad and your electrical. Here are the four main types of installations that people are doing. The first one that everyone looks at and everyone asks is, can I do an in-ground installation? Yes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. The second one is a semi-recessed installation. Now that could mean semi-recessed into the ground, where it's showing half and half, or semi-recessed into a deck, but it is a very popular way to install swim spas. The third type is in-deck installations, where they are notching it into a deck or they are butting it up to the side of a deck. And then finally, the fourth type of installation that I want to talk about is freestanding installations. So taking a swim spa, placing it on the ground on top of a concrete pad and putting steps up to it to get into it. The first type of installation I want to talk to you about is the in-ground installation. I want to talk to you about the pros and cons of the in-ground installation. From a pro side, it looks fantastic. It's truly what people perceive their swim spa or their swimming pool should look like in their backyard. So from a perception side and from an installation, it looks fantastic. From a con side, I will tell you that it is a far more expensive installation to do. And why is it more expensive? Well, number one, you have to build some sort of a vault, a concrete vault, for the unit to actually sit in. So why do you have to build a concrete vault? Well, you need to have accessibility for service if there is ever need for it, okay? Number two, once you dig into your backyard, it becomes the lowest point of your backyard. So what happens is all the groundwater will go into that area. So you need to make sure that you work with your retailer to have a professional installation for this. And what does that mean? You need to have a proper sump pump. You need to have a proper gravel drain, somewhere for the water to go. Third, from an in-ground installation perspective, you want to make sure that your vault or your area around the swim spa is sealed and protected from any critters, any rodents that can get in there. So you want to make sure that you have that taken care of. And then finally, from an insulation perspective, you want to make sure that it's insulated properly so that you can use that swim spa all year round. The second type of installation I want to talk to you about is a semi-recessed installation. That means, again, that it could be partially sunk inside the deck or partially sunk inside the ground. Again, a very popular type installation. I talked to you about the in-ground installation, so if you're thinking about going with an in-ground installation that's semi-recessed, all of those same pros and cons apply to a semi-recessed. If you're going inside a deck, there's less of the con aspect. So let me talk to you about the pros and cons of a semi-recessed in-deck installation. Pro, looks fantastic. A lot of people will actually finish their swim spa with the same decking material for the portion that sticks out. Number two, what's another pro of a semi-recessed in-deck installation? Entry into the swim spa. It makes it a lot easier to get in the swim spa, where you can just sit your butt on the side, swing your legs over, or step from a level surface to a level surface inside the swim spa. Okay? The con side of things for a semi-recessed in-deck installation is, again, very simple: service. How do you create a trapdoor or accessible on four sides service hatch to be able to take care of any problems if they do arise? The next type of installation I want to talk to you about is an in-deck installation, and it is one of the more popular type installations that are out there. What are the pros and cons of that? Let me talk to you about the pros of it. So number one, it makes it look like an in-ground installation, i.e. it makes it look like it's level with the deck. So the perception is it's not an afterthought in your backyard. Number two, it's serviceable. Easily serviceable, especially if you notch it in or if you butt it up against the deck. We do not recommend doing a full in-deck installation where you have decking on all four sides unless you take into account serviceability on all four sides. What's the con of an in-deck installation? There really isn't, especially if you butt it up or notch it into your deck with two sides being exposed. Again, thinking of from an accessibility standpoint, serviceability, and a use side of things, aesthetically, it's one of the more pleasing or one of the better types of installs, and it's certainly easy to service if it ever has to be. The last install I want to talk to you about is the freestanding install and the pros and cons of the freestanding install. You know, from a pro perspective, you know, for the consumer who maybe doesn't want to do everything in one shot and wants to stage it out, can literally get the swim spa, drop it on a concrete pad, fill it up, put some stairs up to it, and be using it, you know, in 3 days. It provides the consumer the ability to stage their installation. So maybe if they're planning next year to put in a deck or some rockery or landscape it, they can do it. You know, they can at least get the swim spa in the backyard and have the kids using it today or as soon as possible. What are the cons of a freestanding install? Well, there's not a lot of cons to a freestanding install other than the fact that it is quite a high unit. I mean, you're talking 53 inches, looks a little bit boxy inside the backyard. However, again, done properly with the right accessories, takes away that height, you can do it nicely. So really there aren't a lot of cons. You know, finally, you know, one of the things that we always talk about is make sure your swim spa is serviceable. And I often get asked is how many sides do there need to be exposed to be serviceable on a swim spa? Our opinion is very simple. We'd like all four sides to be serviceable. So with a freestanding swim spa, it is our dream install because it has all four sides accessible. We realize that may not be the perfect install for you, but considering that as you're doing your installs, make sure that you do have serviceability just in case if there's ever a problem. The last thing I want to talk to you about is some of the finer details with regards to what you need to expect when you get your swim spa. So first off, how do they get delivered? Well, I can tell you 95% of all swim spas around the world have some sort of a lift mechanism to deliver them into the backyard. So a crane. Expect that your swim spa will be delivered by a crane. In some instances where a crane is not available, we do have some other options, but we tend to stick with the crane as the main option. So factor that into your price. Number two, make sure that you factor in a concrete pad. Our specs are 100% level concrete pad in your backyard, ready to accept the swim spa. Again, you can download our installation guides off our websites to find out more details specifically about the pad. And then finally, what is the electrical requirements? You're going to have to run a line from your electrical panel out to your swim spa. Make sure that you work with your retailer to get a qualified, certified electrician to your house to make sure that you understand what the costs are involved with regards to getting electrical to your swim spa. And lastly, a lot of people have a question, you know, how do we get water into our swim spa? Well, I can tell you it's simple. You do not have to plumb any water to your swim spa. It is not something that requires any hard plumbing to it. All you need to do is have a garden hose, you fill it up, and you're ready to go. Thanks for joining me for this video. Again, to summarize, we went over the installations, and specifically we went over the four main types of installations: in-ground, semi-recessed, in-deck, and freestanding. And then finally, we went over some of the particulars on how to get prepared. So the concrete pad, the crane, and the electrical, and then finally the water. Once again, thanks a lot for joining me for this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.